Welcome to the launch of the American Mother's Mom to Mom show, where we gather virtually every second and fourth Tuesday to enjoy listening to, interacting with amazing speakers as they share their expertise on topics that are meaningful to moms. Thanks for joining us as we connect, inspire, and learn together. And today I'm super excited to launch our very first Mom to Mom show. We have one of my favorite people here, Connie Sokol. She's this incredible person. Welcome, Connie. So glad you're here.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I love this group of women. I'm so excited to be together today.
Yay. All right. Well, moms have a crazy, challenging journey no matter what stage they're in. Do you have a mom story or experience that you would want to share with us this morning as we get started?
Oh, yeah. You mean the perils of motherhood?
Yes,
Oh, my goodness.
exactly.
Yes, I have 7 kids, and I got to tell you, so many experiences, so hard to choose from. But I still remember, you have those motherhood fails. I like to call them wins and learning, right? But really, it's motherhood fail, and you learn so much from them. But I remember years ago, I was asked to be in a certain position for my church, and it was over children. And we were getting trained in a city about 60 minutes away. And so I scheduled it for my little girl to come home from kindergarten, to have my oldest son come home, and then he could be there. And about 30 minutes would be the difference, right? So it'd be fine. It'd be fine. So we get done with the meeting. We're driving home. I have 3 other ladies in the car, and we're driving. I'm sitting in the back seat, and I call and I say, "Hey, sweetie, my oldest son." I say, "Hey, how did the handoff go?" And he said, "Oh, my, great. She was already here." And I went, "What? She was home first?" And he said, "Yeah, she was here. It must have been like 15 minutes. She's 5. She's 5." And he said, "Yeah, I came in. She was making eggs at the stove." I'm dying. So I'm like, "Put her on." So she goes, I'm like, "Hey, sweetie." The mom superficial face, everything is fine. I'm like, "Hi, sweetie." And she said, "Mom, I made eggs." And then I remembered I had taught her how to make eggs over the weekend for a life skill, right? Together at the stove. She walked in, no one's home. She was like, "I'm going to make some eggs at the stove top."
Oh my gosh.
So it's our funny now, and what I realized was it was early out, and I had not, in those crazy schedules that kill moms, I had forgotten it was early out. So we had about a 15-minute window, and there you go. To this day, she is one of my most independent gals, and I think it's because she knew at age 5, she keeps coming back to it. Well, at age 5, I made eggs. So there you go. Motherhood fail that can become a success.
I love that so much. We feel like fails, and yet, she was showing you she was independent. She could do it. She was good. I mean, what more validation does a mom need than that her 5-year-old can get herself home and make eggs? That's amazing.
Exactly. I learned so much from that. I learned they can do a lot more. They're hiding it. They can do so much more.
Yeah, they're just fooling us. So, yeah, thank you for sharing. I love that story. I have a similar one with my son, and oh, it's just it's fun as moms when we realize that we're doing something right, even
Yeah.
though it's hard, you know?
Exactly. And I also learned that leaving your child at home or the ballpark or something, it's a rite of passage for every child. And we just said, which one was yours, right? Oh, it was the ballpark. Yeah, it is, because that's a rite of passage. So there you go. God.
Exactly. So true. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Well, I'm just loving having you here. Connie, as I mentioned, is one of my favorite people. She's a friend, a mentor. She's this incredible woman who has been passionate about moms and women and helping them for so many years. I think her whole life, she's been this passionate person and advocate for women. And so we invited her here today because she's got some amazing things to talk to us about how we can find our purpose as mothers, no matter what stage we're in. So before she gets started, I just want to read her bio for you. I could do pages, but this is a short version. She is a national speaker, best-selling author, TV and podcast personality, and she's the mother, as she mentioned, of 7 beautiful children and all the challenges that come with that. And she's also a regular contributor on Studio Live with Brooke Walker and a podcast host of Called to Create. She's the founder of Disciple Thought Leaders, and through leadership retreats, she teaches women how to find their purpose and fulfill it as influential speakers, writers, and a media presence for him. She is the vice president of the National Speakers Association for the Mountain West chapter, and she marinates in time spent with her family and eating decadent treats. And I should tell you, she's so much fun. She's so profound, but she's so much fun. And I love the title of one of her books, which is Life's Too Short for One Hair Color. And so we can't wait to hear from you, Connie. We'll let you just go ahead and get started and take it from here, and looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. And Angela, you are just a love. And I'm not trying to do a love fest here, but Angela is one of the most kind, compassionate, dedicated women to parenting and helping families be able to have healthy relationships and healthy dynamics. And I just love what I have learned from her and continue to learn from her. So thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to be here. All right, let's jump in because I love to talk about purpose-filled motherhood, being able to see it, find it, and fulfill it. And I'm going to give you some tools today to help you do that. Starting off though, several years ago, we were taking our oldest child to college. And at the same time, my youngest was going into first grade. So I was shifting that gear, right? And there was all kinds of time possibilities that were going to be happening. And then I got some news. I was pregnant with my seventh at age 46. Yeah. And I remember looking to the heavens and saying, seriously, the timing on this. And what was layered is that I had just signed a contract with a publisher to write a book on the joys of motherhood. And guess when the manuscript was going to be due? In 3 months. So I was going to spend my first trimester, tell me how yours is, my first trimester writing about the joys of motherhood while I am sick as a dog, because that's my first trimester. And I just thought, how am I going to do this? Now, just a heads up, I had really thought about, would I be able to do both of these things? I had prayed about whether or not to have another child, and it had been a couple of years and nothing had happened. And I had prayed about whether or not I should do this book and especially sign that contract. And I felt so good about it. So I was like, wait a second, I felt good about both of these things. How am I going to do both of these things justice? And I felt that feeling of that mom and, right? That's what I call it, being a mom and focusing on family first. And then the and, where I want to share talents and abilities and information with other people. But I moved forward because I remember two things: purpose and identity. And knowing those two things changed everything. Knowing who I was a woman, wife, mother, all of those things. I was able to move forward and be able to know what I was to do. So who I was and what I was to do, I knew I was to do both of those things, and I did. And I wrote that book and it actually became a bestseller. Who knew? And I was actually able to do that pregnancy. I had tons of energy, lots of clarity. I even had cute clothes. That was back in the day. I don't know if you ladies remember, but old ladies like myself will remember the A-line, everything that just made you feel like a huge walking moo-moo. All the cute clothes were out by then, which was such a blessing of having a seventh one. So all of those good things happened. I was able to do all of those things and be a mom and at the same time and do it successfully. And that was such a gift and a blessing. That's because purpose changes everything. And I'm going to start sharing my screen so that I can share these beautiful slides with you. And I encourage you to get a pen and paper and take some notes as it works for you and as it feels right to you. Like I said, purpose changes everything. And why does purpose change everything? Because, like I said, you know who you are and what you're to do. So on the daily, instead of just getting up, doing the things, checking off your list, suddenly things have purpose. You see the meaning behind it and you're able to do it. And now you are a force for good instead of being a checklist checker. That's the purpose. As we know, we can move forward in knowing what it is that we need and want to do and finding and fulfilling those purpose at any stage of our motherhood. Are you ready to rock it? Let's figure out what our purpose is and how we can fulfill it. First thing we need to do though is one of my favorite things is celebrate where you are. If anyone's read The Gap and the Gain, it's by Dan Sullivan and Dr. Benjamin Hardy. Just if anyone's read that, you can put it in the chat. So good. But this Gap and the Gain, it talks about how often we are so focused as a society and as a people of looking forward and reaching out for those goals and totally having all of these things moving forward that we forget to turn and celebrate where we've come from and how far we've come. How often as a mom do you get to do that? Probably not very often. I remember years ago hearing Oprah talk about how she had gone to this, I'm paraphrasing all of this from my memory, but she had gone to this trip to Hawaii and she was climbing this mountain there. And she had one day to do it. And so she had set it up and she had all these markers of at this time I should be here and at this time I should be here so I can get it done in the one day. So she started climbing, I think it was at sunrise. She started climbing up that mountain. And she was climbing and climbing, and it was gorgeous. And it's just the sun's coming up and it's gorgeous. And then she's hurrying, get to here. And she said at one point, she finally went, what am I doing? I am in Hawaii at the sunrise, climbing a mountain. So she stopped, turned around, and just enjoyed the vista and celebrated how far she had come. And from then on, she just paused. She'd climb, then she'd pause, she'd turn around, and she would enjoy the view and then turn around and climb some more. So today, we're going to stop and enjoy the view. I'm going to ask you to do something that might be a little bit hard, but to appreciate who you are and how much you've already done as a mother, which I, not even knowing you individually, I know is astounding because those kids are alive, they're breathing, they've been fed and clothed, and that right there It's humongous. It should be an Olympic sport. Now, you may find it hard to celebrate you and appreciate you, but I'm going to give you a little loving nudge, is what I like to call it today, to do it and take a moment to do so. So grab that pen, and I'm going to ask you to do 2 columns. And I'm going to ask you to list for 1 minute things that you have done as a mom over the last several years, or you can do just the last year or even just the last month. It's up to you. But what comes to mind of what you have done, and then what you have become, who you have become? Done could be, I was able to overcome those things about helping my child with diabetes, or I had health issues, or I really struggled with depression, or whatever it might be. The things that you've been able to do, overcome, triumph, achieve. I was able to open that photography shop while I was raising my children. I was able to help when my husband got sick, and I was able to step in and become the breadwinner or whatever. I've become more patient, loving, kind. I've been able to be more aware. I've been able to behold my kids instead of just nagging at them. Whatever it might be, I'm going to give you 1 minute to write those things down. Write as fast as you can and don't self edit. I'm going to be quiet for just a moment. We can be okay with the pause. Okay, hopefully you've got a few things written down. I'm inviting you to post in the chat something you've done or become. Now, I know this can be hard for us because it feels a little braggy, but we have to get used to saying appreciative things about ourselves. I'm inviting you to put some things in the chat. While you do that, I'm going to share an experience that I had years ago. I had lots and lots of littles. There were times that I had 4, 6 and under, or I had six kids 12 and under. Sorry, have to do the math, and the math brain is gone. Just telling you, there's a few brain cells that are active and left. But I had 6 kids 12 and under, and there were other times that I had 4 at a certain age, blah, blah, blah. But 6 kids 12 and under, and my oldest had autism, so Asperger's was what it was called at the time. And there were lots of different threads of a variety of different things that I was learning about and taking care of. And it was exhausting from start to finish. In fact, one summer, I remember he had a meltdown just about every 15, 20 minutes, the whole summer. I called it the Summer of the Monkeys. You know that book? It was like crazy. And I remember at one point just feeling so unappreciated from those around me, like just not even being told, hey, you're doing a great job, whatever. I didn't have any family in the state, and my family was really fractured and fragmented. And I just was not getting any feedback and any good support or praise at the time. And I remember saying to myself, you know what? It's going to have to come from me. So I wrote, I'm a great mom list. And I invite you to use this and have it become your I'm a great mom list. I'm not kidding. This I'm a great mom list is you having this done and become, and I invite you to add on to it. What I did is I just started writing down all the things that I had done or become, even the littlest thing. I got the laundry done in one fell swoop, right? I was able to just write all these things and say, good for me, hurrah, hurrah, and get a little treat and say, good job. And I can't tell you, I posted it and I added to it, and that saved my sanity. So I invite you to take some time and make your I'm a great mom list of what you've done and become, and post it. Post it on your phone, post it on a wall, post it by your mirror, and own it. Own it with joy and say, you know what? I am a great mom. Yeah, kids, you're lucky to have a great mom. My little guy will say, you're the best mom. And I'm saying, that's right. That's right. And we laugh a little bit. But I need them to understand that, yes, that is true. That mom is a great mom because I'm showing up every day for them and doing my best ever just to help them move forward. So I encourage you to take a moment, breathe that in, put it in the chat, and celebrate the good things that you've done or become. All right. All right. Now, once we know we've seen that gap in the game, we've turned back, we've celebrated that we've been able to survive another day. I don't know if you know Linda Iyer, but she wrote this book, A Joyful Mother of Children. And she talked about how hard it was. She had 9. And she said she would literally go in the bathroom and she could hear everybody up and fighting and all the stuff beginning. And she would look in the mirror and she'd grip the sides of the sink and she'd be like, okay, we can do this. And then she'd walk out, right? That's what we can do. We can celebrate this. We can get set for the day. And then, boom, we're ready for the next part. And what is the next part? Well, we really could stop right there and just celebrate who we are and just soak in that for a minute. But you come to this class for a reason, which is you are feeling something that you have a purpose that's in addition to what you're doing. And that's what I want to talk about next. I want to talk about responding to the rumble. Have you felt a rumble to do something more? You're taking care of your kids and you're feeling that, and maybe you're at a place where they're a little bit more self-sufficient, but now you're feeling this rumble of, man, I keep feeling like I need to talk to women about X, Y, and Z, about identifying symptoms of abusive situations or healthy food eating habits, or being able to do self-care, or being able to do fun things and preserving the memories of your family. It could be anything, but you're feeling this rumble to do something more, being that mom aunt, and you don't know exactly what that looks like, and that's okay. It's actually something that's very normal for us as women. I personally believe it's an endowment we've been given as mothers, that we are not content to just serve and love our family and just our whole selves and our families and just this little world that we have, that once we feel that desire for that and for those that we love, we desire to do that for other people, random people, whoever, it may be even people we don't know. I know my assistant, my executive assistant, we were talking the other day, and her father had just gone in the hospital, and he was in a particular hospital that wasn't very, because of some different things that he had benefits for. This particular hospital is where he needed to go. And my assistant, Andrea, she said, I was so concerned because it wasn't that great of a place. And she said it was so sad because there were a lot of people there by nature of what they were receiving benefits for, that they didn't have people coming by their bedside. And she said, I was holding my father's hand and I could hear people moaning in pain. And I knew, I had walked the halls and I knew they were not getting help. They weren't getting a lot of help of people coming in. She said, my heart, I could hardly stay in my seat. My heart just yearned to go to them and help them and just sit with them. But she said, HIPAA, like I can't do anything. And she felt so constrained, but this yearning in her soul was so strong to help those in need. That's us as mothers. We see a need and we want to fill it. Now, what does that look like then in our stage of motherhood? Because we're all at different stages. Some have little, some have teens, some have adult children, and even mothers of adult children. There's so much going on and so much that's actually required of us. What does that mean? How can you be a mom and still be focused? What does that look like? Well, it's going to look different for each of us. And I invite you, if you're a praying person, to pray about that or ponder about it. Sit 15 minutes, bar the bathroom door, and just sit and think, what does that mean? What does that look like? What could that be? And first and foremost, it may be that you give yourself permission to respond to that rumble, that it is a good thing and that it will be a good thing, and that God, or whatever your belief system is, will help you to be able to accomplish both. Why is it so important for moms to still be able to make time for and be respected to make time for educational growth and cultural pursuits and developing those talents? Why is that so important? Because she's going to bless her family with that very learning. She is often the hub of the home, and she is going to be teaching those kids, and what she is, who she is, what she does is what those kids are going to know and remember. I know for years I've been a speaker, and I took my kids when they were younger, and my oldest daughter, my 24-year-old, I was speaking at a mothering conference on Saturday, and she came and dropped some things off, and she said, oh mom, this is so nostalgic. I remember doing this when I was younger. She would come, and she was 10, 11. She'd help exchange the money for the books, and she would talk to people, and she was super shy, super, super shy. She did not like to talk to people. She did not like to give talks in church or anything like that. And yet, through those experiences and watching me, she was able to learn and develop these talents to where she actually served as a church missionary for a year and a half. She went to Switzerland doing a job travel. She's actually been able to do a lot of these life experiences because she was able to learn these skills. And she said, Mom, I've watched you. I've watched how you've done these things, and I know that I can. I've seen how you do it, and I've seen your confidence. So this blesses not only our families, but others as well. I know years ago, I had been teaching women how to speak for probably 25 years, teach them how to speak, how to write books, how to go on TV or radio, and be able to share a message that they felt so strongly about, to be able to share it with other people and do it effectively while still being able to focus on being a mom at home first, right? Being a mom and I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. I'd written a lot of books. I had done a lot of things and still being able to focus on family. So I felt like I was doing what I need to do. And then about 3 years ago, I get this again, another rumble. Oh, I always like to just have the rumble and put it in the corner so I'm done with it. But no, he wants us to up level and keep improving and increasing in our abilities. And that rumble was, I want you to do things with women that are going to train them in a more extensive way of how to be a speaker, a writer, and a media presence. And it was through retreats. Now, that may not sound like a very scary thing. Retreats, it sounds so fun. No, this was in September of 2020. What was happening in September of 2020? COVID, right? So who is going to create and register people for an in-person retreat in September of COVID? Like, it did not make any sense at all. But I know you know what I'm talking about. When you start feeling this rumble, it doesn't make sense. It's like, this is a bad time. I don't have the energy. We're going through a tough thing. But this rumble would not go away. So I followed it and I said, okay, I'm going to do what you're asking me to do. And I have no idea what's going to happen. And do you know, we registered a full retreat 2 months ahead of schedule. And then 2 weeks ago, I just finished my 13th retreat in 3 years, teaching these women how to speak, write, and be a media presence for good for him to be able to share a message that mattered to them. I think as we look at this rumble, we don't know the lasting impact that that's going to have. We don't know how it's going to help these women and what they're going to be able to do, or help these people, or help our neighborhood, or help the PTA, or help those kids you're going to help with reading at the school. We don't really know or see the impact, but it will happen nonetheless. So one of those I want to share with you is that these women were the first group of women that came to that very first retreat. And the one on the far right in the white sweater with the little bun on her head, that's Wendy Jones. And what this woman did, she came to the retreat, and I kid you not, she was on the couch and I was talking about being able to be effective tools for social media so we can share more good and get more good out there. And she had her knees up and she said, stop talking about this. It's stressing me out, because she didn't know how to do it. She didn't want to do social media. But within a couple of months, she was actually teaching social media. And then within 6 months, she held her first retreat, and it was to help underserved women in the community. She loved doing power tools and being able to use those to help build inside someone's home, like a better space. And those underserved women that were living maybe in difficult circumstances or things like that, they could come in and they could refurbish, sort of like Magnolia like. And so she would teach this group of women that were volunteers, she would teach them how to use power tools, and then they would go in and one day they would bang it out. And their first nominated person was a woman who was taking care of four special needs kids in a 1,700 square foot home. Sorry, tears me up every time. Sorry. And they went in and refurbished the space so that she could have better space for those kids. And it was magical. And then after that retreat, she had 22 women at her first retreat. And then after that, she built a team. And then she got national sponsors, Home Depot and Down East. And one thing led to another. And now they have had several retreats, and they've done several projects in the community that have been amazing for the last 3 years. And been amazing to watch what they're doing. She took all those skills that she used to refurbish her home and to do DIY crafts and to organize and manage her family. And she took those and did them for good. What can you do? What is the rumble that you're feeling to do? These two women, so fantastic. On the left, Susie, she loved doing natural foods for her family. She got to a place where she's like, we're not eating well. We need more energy. I want to do this better. So she started researching and finding things out, created these healthy food ways, life hacks, produce wash, and just simple things to do that would change the way that her family would eat. And it did, and started sharing it with other people. And now she has Susie's Natural Health Movement, and it's helping people know how to eat healthy and do it with life hacks and do it fast. This other one on the right is Ingrid, and she is a mother of 9. She took all the management skills that she has learned. She is an organizing queen. Time, energy, space, whatever you need, she knows how to organize it and life hack it. And she took those and used it towards putting on a live nativity in her community, celebrating the birth of the Savior. And it's an actual live nativity. They have the tents and the people and wares, and they have food and things like that. And you are in the nativity. They have the donkey, Mary and Joseph coming in with the donkey, and the Romans, and they're calling for taxation and stuff. And you're a living member of this. It's so cool. Well, she took those skills that she had as a mom, and now she's writing a handbook so that other people can do live nativities in their community. And all they need to do, follow the handbook. They've done this now for 20 years, and now they're making it easier for other people. What's the rumble that you have felt? I'm going to give you 1 minute, and I want you to write down, what is that rumble that you have felt? And it may feel, I want you to think about what that looks like for you. It may feel like discontent. It may be excited and scared. It may be a constant perpetual thought that keeps coming to you and it won't go away. It may be that you see something, almost like when you want to buy a car and then you see that car everywhere. It may be that you start hearing this pop, pop, pop of that rumble everywhere, and so everyone's talking about it. You're seeing it everywhere. Think about what that rumble feels and looks like for you, and then take a moment and write down what you think that rumble is telling you to do. So write down, I feel this discontent to maybe do. I feel this excitement but scared feeling too. I'm feeling this rumble too, and not maybe even know what it is, but feeling this, I need to be looking into something. So again, I'm going to have a little quiet. We love the quiet. We love the pause to let our minds and hearts and souls be still. Take 1 minute and write down what you may be feeling a rumble to do, become, or experience. Hey, did you get some things? Now, some of you may be feeling a rumble to do something that may seem a little more in depth or a little bit more emotionally charged, something that you feel like, ooh, but this could be really hard. Maybe it's about abuse or depression or something like that. And you may want to shy away from it. Oh, but there's other people involved, or I don't know how I could talk about this. Maybe people will judge me. And I invite you to sit with it and say, what purpose could there be in me sharing this? Could it help other people? Could it be a blessing in some fashion? What have you learned from those trials and afflictions that you've been through? What have you become because you've gone through those and you've come out on the other side? Or maybe you're still in it, but you've had so many pearls of wisdom that you've been able to glean or gain. What have those been? I always love that adage of everything we go through once is for us, and every time after that, it's for someone else. The first time we go through it, it's for our learning and our benefit. But every time after that that we share it, it hopefully is for the benefit of someone else. We're building a bridge to help them be able to go through that experience so much easier. So I'm asking you to think about that. I'll give you a couple of examples, and I ask you to keep writing down what you feel a rumble to do. As you keep excavating layers, you'll start on that more superficial level, and then you'll go a little layer deep and another layer deep, and go as deep as you can. So this is Stacy Walton, and many years ago, she was happily married and then found out that her husband had committed adultery, and they ended up divorcing his request, and that was a really excruciating experience and time for her. It was tough. She lost a lot of weight. She felt like I couldn't go on, just trying to get out of bed and all of the things. And then she came to a point where she said, I am going to go on and I am going to help others be able to get through this experience. So she did. She got to a place that was better, healthier, happier, and then met the man of her dreams, who she is married to right now. And he is a love and her rock. And it was so fantastic. But what they did is blend two families. If anyone's done that, you can know what a challenge that is. And as they blended these 7 kids, they have done that for 12 years. She learned a ton. And instead of just taking that learning and loving that they were having this great experience and created this beautiful new family, she said, I want to give hope to others who are wanting or looking at or entering into remarriage. And that's what she did. So she created a course, taught her how to speak and write and create a course. And she did it and started 30 people in that online course learning tools of how to be successful and find hope in remarriage. Is that so fabulous? The thing that was the hardest, most excruciating thing for her, she was able to turn into something good. That phoenix concept, that beauty for ashes. Another one is Melissa writing, and she had a beautiful marriage. And again, her husband came home one day and said, I want to live an alternate lifestyle, and asked for a divorce. And it absolutely crushed her. Same experience. And yet she rose from those ashes and she said, you know what? I am going to help other people be able to navigate getting through that experience of divorce. And then she got certified and is now a divorce life coach, helping people to move through, heal, and be able to create their next best life. Isn't that fantastic? So look at your list. Now, it may be that something like, well, I just want to help kids be able to do better reading at the school. Sweet. That's fantastic. It doesn't have to go global, right? It's just this rumble. All right. What rumble have you felt to respond to? And let's give you a minute to just ask some deeper questions. And let's go one more layer deep. What do you desire to do? What does he want you to build? What pieces do you already have? If you wanted to write a book, have you already got some things written down? Do you have some ideas of what that could be? Have you already written posts on social media or a blog? What tools or skills do you need? Who do you know that can help you get the next step skill? Who can help you? "Well, I don't know. I want to speak, or I want to write, or I want to be able to help the PTA. I want to start a food pantry for the needy in my community." Who already is doing that successfully? Who could you talk to and help get some ideas and thoughts on what to do? I'm going to give you a minute to write that down. Okay, in the interest of time, I'm going to just let you keep writing, but I'm going to give you two specific things that I have found personally that help me in responding to the rumble. And that first thing is the tools and skills. If you don't know where to start, I would encourage you to consider tools and skills. What does that look like? What could help you be able to get additional skills? So Susie, who did the natural food movement, she wanted to do a boot camp and help people to know how to do these skills, but be able to do one-time energy and leverage it out because she still has kids, right? So we taught her how to do a course and do a community and build that. And she was able to do a boot camp. She had 140 people at this boot camp. And people were like, these women were like, I don't even like being in the kitchen. And then they learned how to use these simple kitchen tools, and they learned how to do a produce wash. They learned how to do some easy 7 meals from one thing of being able to do one big batch of chicken and making 7 meals from it. It was fantastic. But she learned skills of how to get it online, to get it out there so that she could do it one time energy and not be a slave to it. So tools and skills, I would encourage you to make that maybe one of your first thoughts of what can I do with that? The second thing is people. Connect with people. Maybe it's you want to get together with your pickleball friends and you want to get a pickleball group because women are in the house and they're not getting out. Those stay-at-home moms, start a pickleball group. Maybe it's a walking group that you have. Maybe it's a book club that you want to start or that you're in and you want to ask people your questions about that. What can you do to be able to connect with people and be able to have that support system? I have found that women are so wired for support with each other. And if you get 1 + 1 woman, you have 642 amazing things that happen. That's just women helping women. We're wired for it and we flourish with it. We're able to help, be kind, and support each other. I know that we have a group called the Disciple Thought Leadership Circle. So we don't have a lot of drama at all because we're all just doing our stuff, supporting and helping each other to be able to do our messages for him. So find a group that just feels good, uplifting. You have similar tastes and interests, a hiking group or whatever it might be. And then one thing will lead to another, and they'll be able to help you in your thing, and you'll be able to help them in theirs. It's such a joy. So that people piece is so important. We did an impromptu overnighter with the leadership circle, and it was so fun. And I was supposed to speak the next week. We were doing a retreat the next weekend. And I was like, I've got so much to do. And they're like, you've got to come, you've got to come. And I'm like, I said, okay, fine. I'm going to come. I rearranged things. I'm like, I can just come for maybe a couple of hours or I'll stay overnight and I'll leave early in the morning. Oh my goodness. What do you think happened? It was exactly what I needed. And in fact, when I was hanging out with these women, I was pulling out my phone constantly. They were throwing out these downloads that were exactly what I needed. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a great story. Oh, that's a great idea to do. Oh, we could absolutely add that in. It was amazing. So being able to have that people support, especially women support, find it, get it, use it, become it. That is a key, fantastic piece. And what happens when you get that support piece from women, when you help one another? Magical, amazing, marvelous things. You get the tools and skills, you get the people support. This is Carrie. She wanted to write a book about miracles and identifying them in your lives. A year and a half, it took tears. Our coaching sessions where she was just crying all the time, setting boundaries, all of these things. She flourished personally as much as she did professionally. She wrote that book and it's now in bookstores. So exciting. This is Amber. She became a young widow. She actually married a man, narcissist, divorced. They tried it again, got married again, divorced, and then she found the love of her life, an amazing, wonderful man. And 3 years into the marriage, got a diagnosis that he had a brain tumor that was life threatening. And he died several months after that. So she is a young widow of 4 children, and she was devastated by that grief. But she said, I'm going to get tools and skills to be able to share a positive message of how to get through grief with other people because they're feeling the same way and they need to be able to get through it too. So she started an Instagram account and now she is helping people on the daily be able to survive grief and loss by focusing on him. It's absolutely fantastic. Again, what can you do? What can that look like for you of responding to the rumble? Any ideas, just write them down. And I encourage you to post them in the chat. Post them in the comments below on the Facebook page or post them in the chat, whatever you can do. Let's go to the next right step. All right. In this next right step, I invite you to be able to have this thought of pulling it down to one thing that you're going to do next, taking that next right step. You've written down some things that you felt a rumble to do. Now, what are you going to do about it? What does that next right step look like? Well, I'm going to ask you a question, a really important question. What if? What if you did take a step? What if you look at that rumble list and what if you choose a next right step and you take that next right step? What if you did that? What if it was scary, a little bit exciting? What if it seemed overwhelming? What if you were experiencing imposter syndrome? Who, me? Why me? What if? What if you did it? I think a lot about what if I hadn't done that first retreat? Because so much has happened since then for so many of the people. What if? What if you did take it? What would happen? That Wendy Jones that I told you about, curled up on the couch, that had that total panic attack about social media, she did do those things. And guess what? Now they've been called as mission leaders for their church, and they're going to be gone for 3 years. And their team said, guess what? We'll take care of everything. We'll keep this going while you're gone. And those concentric circles of love and service and compassion and help are all going to continue. What if I hadn't started that first retreat? We've had over 100 women go through. They've written those books. They've done those courses. They've helped people identify signs of abusive relationships and to be able to heal themselves and their families. What if? What if you did take a step? What would you do? What is one thing that you could do to move forward in making this happen? I'm going to give you a free QR code. It's absolutely free. There's nothing else attached. Just a free Find Your Purpose challenge. If you don't do anything else today, if you're still like, well, I don't know, I feel these rumbles and I don't know what to do, I encourage you, find out what that rumble means and where it can lead you. Do this Find Your Purpose challenge. There's 5 short videos, 5 to 7 minute videos, and there's a little mini workbook. It's one little download each day for all of those 5 videos, and it will help you create a purpose statement of who you are and what you do. And that will at least get you moving forward on that direction of what it is you need to do and how you can move forward. I want to tell you this works. I cannot even tell you how different your life is when you find and start fulfilling your purpose. It is scary, but it is exciting. And suddenly purpose changes everything, and it will. I even got happier about cleaning toilets and doing dishes. It just added a fullness to my life. And now I have seen that these women have moved on to create their own retreats and their own things that they're doing. And that brings me so much joy. We have these lifelong friendships and we have them being able to fulfill their talents, building a bridge for other people coming up on the things that they're dealing with. I encourage you to consider today what that could look like. In that step, my daughter, I encouraged her to do these things. And last year, she was like, I don't know what to do for a job. And I said, I encourage you to write down all the specifics. She said, I'd like to travel. I'd like to have it be paid for. I'd like to be able to talk with people. I'd like to keep using my French. I'd like to be able to blah, blah, blah. She wrote all those down. Then a few weeks later, she gets a call for the perfect job you've ever heard of. They said, can you please help us with luggage transfer in Switzerland with our travel agency? We're going to give you a paid for apartment, a paid for car, a credit card to use for your food. We're going to let you travel the week before you start and the week after you start. And we even have a suggested itinerary that you can use while you're driving the car that we're going to pay for the gas for. I'm not kidding. I was like, I want your life. I want that job. So here's a picture of her in Switzerland eating her beautiful croissant and making me totally happily jealous. It can happen if you will choose that next right step, get specific about it, and find and fulfill that purpose in store for you. Those are the women who are doing that very same thing. So you are in great company. Just know you're not alone and you can do it too. I invite you ladies to be able to take what I've shared with you today, and I hope that you've gotten something good out of it that has motivated you and inspired you to say, I think I want to do my purpose, and I think I feel that rumble, and I'm going to find out what that next right step could be. And I know that once you do, you're on that purpose path and there's no turning back. Your life will never be the same. Thank you.
Wow, Connie, thank you so much. That was powerful. I remember when I had young ones at home, and I remember thinking at one point, I'm a loser mom. And I did what you said, not knowing I was going to, that's what you would say to do. And I sat down and I made a list of the things that I had done. And I thought afterwards, wow, I'm doing okay. And so you had us do that, look at ourselves in that way. And then you've given us steps, action steps, things we can actually do to find our purpose, to listen to that rumble. So incredible, so powerful, impactful. Thank you, Connie. How can they connect with you if they would like to connect with you?
If you want to go conniesokol.com, it's SOKOL, conniesokol.com. Just go on there. You can do a free call with me if you want to chat about where you are, where you want to be, and how to get there. We can have a chat about it, and I can give you some more additional tools.
Awesome. Thank you. So I wanted to just quickly explain that we have a podcast. The Mom to Mom podcast has been going on for a couple of years, and now it's going to be every first, third, and fifth Tuesday of the month at noon Eastern time. And then this Mom to Mom show that we just launched today will be every second and fourth Tuesday. So join us for those. Next week, we have for our podcast, it is Pregnancy and Loss Month. And so we are going to be hearing from two moms, and they're going to talk about how they went through an unexpected turn in their motherhood journey. So tune in for that. And then 2 weeks from today is our next Mom to Mom show, where we will be hearing from the amazing Ashley Stratton. She is a certified professional speaker who knows what it takes to achieve goals as a mother. She's going to talk about what she learned when she researched and interviewed a large number of women, mothers, and entrepreneurs. And she's going to present her process, which is A cubed, 3 steps to break through fear to achieve your goals process. So we're excited about that and want you to come and join us every Tuesday at noon. We've got something great for you. So thanks for joining us today as we have connected, been inspired, and learned from Connie. And until next time, remember, you are not alone, and you have an army of mothers all around you cheering you on. The primary purpose of this speaker series is to educate and inform. The views, information, or opinions expressed during the American Moms to Moms series are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of American Mothers Incorporated, its members, or employees. American Mothers is not responsible for, nor does it verify the accuracy of the information contained in the episode, nor does a series constitute any professional advice or services. Sorry, I have to do the legal thing. Anyway, you are amazing moms across the country. Thanks for joining us virtually. And most especially, thank you, Connie, for the nuggets of wisdom you have given us and the challenge you have given us to be moms. And thank you so much. And we will see you next week. Bye-bye.